Real estate does not necessarily represent the
But we're on
views or
Facebook,
opinions of
that's
the
what matters.
staff, management, or
all that
ownership of
matters.
this station. It's time to
long
get
as
on the
Zuckerberg
right
doesn't
path.
shut us down
Right
again.
Path Real Estate Radio with Tom Perry. Get the answer to your question that's keeping you from taking action and succeeding
Chris
today.
Starting a half-day online course called How to Make Hundreds of Dollars Hoteling Houses.
Yeah. You can make hundreds.
Get ready. The guy that will put your fears behind you is on the air now. Taking
Mike's
calls
on.
at 713-785-1817. Toll free 877-881-0271. Now here's your host, Tom Perry.
Hey, good morning. Welcome to the show. Welcome to the show. Right Path Real Estate Radio. 713-785-1817. 713-785-1817 if you want to give us a call. We're also broadcasting live not only on AM 1110, but also on the Book of Faces.
Correct.
And I'm joined live in the studio with my brother from another mother, my good friend, my co-host, Mr. Daniel G.
Good morning. Good morning. Happy
And-
Wednesday.
And shortly here we'll be up on Instagram because
Yeah.
we're not technically coordinated, but Andy,
I've got some eye-hand coordination.
Yeah,
it
but-
just doesn't translate to the
Andy's going to have us up and going on Lula, I think, pretty soon here on
Instagram, and Periscope and Twitch and all that stuff.
Yes.
So
What I love is that, you can remotely access stuff
Yeah.
now and just click, 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 just
Yeah.
watching all that in the background. And so I'm going to go ahead and so look at that. So he's going to change the webpage there. And so I'm going to get us up and going on Facebook on my screen so we can follow and say hello and all that kind of stuff. So I went and walked 2 properties yesterday owned by the same investor.
Okay.
And this guy has been, it's interesting because, my former business partner and I, we'd meet people that had been in real estate for a long time.
Yeah.
And we've met, always we meet the new guy, right?
Of course.
And, the guy that, hey, what do you do for a living? Oh, I'm a real estate investor. Oh, yeah, how many deals have you done? None.
Well,
then I'm a brain surgeon,
thinking
right?
about doing my first one.
I know, right. And so, we kind of laugh about that a little bit. And then,
Yeah.
but then we also meet the guy that, how long, I'm a real estate investor. Oh, yeah, how long you been doing it? 40 years.
Yeah.
And we're like, all right, let's
Yeah,
get us
let's
some
get
wisdom
fired up.
here, right?
About to
Yeah,
give me some nuggets.
Yeah, right. And so what do you got? Well, I've got, a fourplex over in Clute. And I've got a single family house that I rent down in Rocheron.
Okay.
And then I've flipped a couple of houses, and I've got a retail strip shopping center down off of MLK, and but it's at 50% occupancy.
Yeah, because the hair weave store is still there, the nail place is still there, but the other place is shut down.
And I've got an 11-unit motel.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, in Fulshire. And it's just this hodgepodge of
I'm
stuff.
gonna go see all my properties. I'll be back in 3 days.
And I've got a 14-unit boat storage up in Lake Livingston.
Okay.
Is it on the lake? Well, no.
It's on the way to the lake.
See, what happened was, and you're like, oh my gosh. I mean, like and don't forget, I've got 3 non-performing notes on properties in Florida.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh man, every guru that came. Oh, and I also made a couple of tax lien loans.
Okay. Where's your storage unit at? Like,
It's up near Lake Livingston,
got
right?
it.
Yeah. And so you're like, oh wow. Oh, and I did some land development and I lost everything because what I figured out is that land doesn't pay.
heard that story.
It's all speculation. And in fact, this guy that's got these 2 properties, that's one of his stories, is like he had some land. As it turns out, talk about a coincidence. And talking to this guy, my parents used to live in Austin.
Okay.
And there's like 25 acres that was right behind their house that never was developed. He owned that piece of property and really almost took a bath on it, but because Austin figured out that there was this rare species of bird that lived on this piece of property. And they raised a bond. I mean, like some ridiculous amount, is like either $90 million or $900 million. Whatever.
Whatever
right?
it takes to move a bird.
To move these birds to some other spot. And so anyhow, he's got 2 properties that were flooded in Harvey. And so there are still flooded properties. Here's what you have to be careful of. And we've not done many flooded properties in a while, right?
Yes.
And we did right after. But one of the things you have to recognize is that the city of Houston they've got a special flood control. Like we're redoing a condo right now.
Yeah.
And all of the first floor, it's right off of Memorial.
Yep.
And
did a Facebook Live there last week.
Right.
They were in the middle of construction already.
In fact, it's actually now my unit didn't flood because it's up on the second floor.
Yeah.
So technically, I'm not in the flood zone, right?
Yes.
I mean, I'm not in the floodplain.
It's really hard for you to be in the flood zone.
And if you understand the difference between a condo and a townhouse has to touch the ground.
Yes.
The legal description of the condo is actually a space up in the air, and this is a 2-bedroom, 2-bath condo, and it's one of the it's what I like about it is one of the least expensive places to get into. Whatever that I think it's Frostwood Elementary,
Yep.
which is right at the corner of Gessner Memorial, and then Memorial Junior High, and then Memorial Senior High.
Yeah.
And I mean, you can't to get into those schools sub $200,000.
Be really tough.
It'd be really, really tough. So we're gonna be putting it out on the market like 180.
Okay.
When it's fully rehabbed, and I mean we're doing a $45 a foot rehab, and
Yeah.
it's gonna look Mac Daddy style. But they're pulling permits on it because they're doing
course.
everything, and they made them. Elijah went down pulling permits. They made them go and get basically a rubber stamp from the flood zone people.
Oh, wow.
Because you're in a flood area is what it's called.
Okay.
Because every unit in there flooded.
Yeah.
Like, yep, but this unit didn't. It doesn't matter. Like, look, we're just going to pass you on through, but you still have to go through the process. And so one of the things people may not realize, and are there workarounds? I mean, here's the issue is if you want to do things the right way, and I like to sleep well at night, and I always want to do things the right way. But if you want to do it right, you need to get things permitted.
Yes.
And I feel like, especially if you're going to flip a house, you're going to turn it into a rental from a liability standpoint, I want to make sure things are done right.
Yeah.
And then I think
especially if you ever want to scale anything you do. I mean, if you're going to come in and you're just doing one and you're never going to do you should still do it the right way, but just know that doing it the wrong way, you'll never scale.
You're right.
So people that are trying to cut corners and trying to find little ways to gray area things, and that's all well and good. And if you can sleep, I'm not one to judge you, but you're never ever going to build anything to scale,
right? Because
the minute you get noticed, they're going to shut you down.
Absolutely. Well, and one of the things I've discovered all along the way, I mean, after over 600 houses that we flipped or wholesaled, is that when you do a flip and you haven't gotten permits, then it ends up biting you in the end. Because I'll never forget one of the first deals. This was back when I was involved in Fast Track, and we were doing a fully permit, probably one of the largest jobs at the time. I know Fast Track's done way bigger since then.
Yeah.
But at the time, I mean, an $80,000 rehab was a really big job for Fast Track, and we were doing an $80,000 rehab on a buy, fix, and flip house over off of like Bunker Hill and just north of Westview.
Okay.
And I'll never forget that. The inspector's job, and this is something that may be news for a lot of people, is that the inspector's job, the mandate, and this is a quiz that I've stood in front of a group as large as like over 300 real estate agents and said, hey, who can tell me, this asking real estate professionals, people licensed by TREC, people, that are members of HAR and members of TAR and members of NAR, the Houston Association of Realtors, Texas Association, etc. What is the inspector's job?
Yeah.
Guy I've been doing real estate for 10 years says it's to find the things wrong with the house. And everyone's like, how many of y'all agree with it? Raise your hand. And like 99% of the room says that's their mandate. And I'm like, wrong.
Yeah.
And I said, an inspector's job is to show you all the things that aren't up to current building code.
Yes.
That's 2019 building code.
Yes.
Now, last I checked, I think City of Houston has currently adopted all the way up to 2015 building code, except for electrical, and I think they're at 2018 building code on that, which means that if I were to build a brand new house in the middle of the City of Houston and got everything fully permitted, and the only code enforcing people is the city.
Yeah.
They come out, they inspect, they according to code.
So you could pass everything based on 215 code, 2015 code.
Framing code. I get the electrical. I get the plumbing. I get everything done according to code. Get all green tags. Get a certificate of occupancy. Everything. Get a green tag. Everything on everything. And the inspector's going to come through and going to have 55 pages on their report.
Yes.
That's going to show you all the things that are wrong, quote unquote. And here's my concern: is if the agents think that that's what it is, then the buyers, of course, think that's.
Of course, they do.
All these things need to be fixed, right? So lo and behold, we had, we were doing major bathroom stuff. We were taking out, load bearing walls. Yeah. So we had structural inspection, which framing inspection, and it was stamped by a structural engineer. We did everything by the book: plumbing, electrical, mechanical, which is HVAC, foundation, everything. The only thing that we didn't replace was the roof.
Okay.
We even fumigated the house. First time I ever tented a house.
Oh, wow.
To treat for dry wood termites.
Yeah.
So that you treat subterranean termites in the ground, obviously, but dry wood, you got to tent the house in order to do that. I mean, all of that, and so finally get to the inspection phase, and the house gets hammered. And so it's a first-time buyer.
Yeah.
And the buyer is nervous as
freaking out.
Nelly.
This thing's going to fall down on me.
Single gal, never been married, no kids, first home purchase. And so she's freaking out. She loves the house, doesn't really want to back out, but doesn't want to make a bad decision. My investor that we did the work for, they're looking at me like, "Did you do this right? And we're really counting on you." I'm like, "We always do." I mean, but it's not. I'm not the expert in how the things. I'm running the business, right? Yeah. But I believe in my guys. I know that they're doing it the right way. That's my expectation. So here's how the showdown went. I've got the seller, the seller's mom, the seller's agent, the buyer's mom, the buyer's agent, and then the inspector on the telephone.
You had a lot of moms in this. Was your mom there?
My mom.
She didn't come.
My mom. I asked her to, but
she was busy.
She was getting her hair did. She was baking cookies or something. I don't know. So all of that, all those people there, and lo and behold, music says we're out of time.
We'll tell the rest of that story.
Tell you what happened on the other side of the break, and then we'll talk about how that applies to flooded houses. So stay tuned. We'll be right back. Hey, good morning, Andrew. Good morning, Chris. Good morning, Nora and Patrick and Mary.
Good morning, Nora. Good morning, Ashley. Good morning, Andy. Good morning, Brad.
Hello, real estate investors. Do you need a lender that moves fast at the speed of a jet to fund your investment properties? Jet Lending will help you purchase properties quickly with as little cash out of pocket as possible. Jet Lending also sets up a repair escrow fund to help you with repair costs. Jet Lending has originated over 2,000 loans in Texas, valued at over $250 million. Jet Lending will help you evaluate your deals for free and give you feedback on value, cost of repairs, and potential loan amount. Jet Lending is your fast and friendly hard money source for first-time investors and seasoned professionals. Call 281-872-7800 or email us at info@jetlending.com. Oh, and don't forget about our famous Third Wednesday Super Investor Networking Meeting. Lots of fun, lots of great real estate talk. We'll see you there.
Time is money in a real estate deal. If your insurance company is slow or non-responsive, you could lose a deal like that. You need a quick turnaround on quotes, binders, and the agency for that is Benchmark Insurance Group of Texas. The team at Benchmark understands the investor mindset. They know what you need and when you need it. It's there for you. Call Houston's leading real estate risk management experts. Benchmark Insurance Group of Texas. 281-569-4353.
Hey, Tom or Daniel.
281-569-4353.
You got a caller, Jim, wants to talk to you.
All right, sure.
Are you looking for an investor-friendly general contractor for your investment property? Then call Fast Track Remodeling at 832-742-9992 or reach us on the web at fasttrackremodeling.com.
Fast Track Remodeling specializes in turnkey remodeling of single-family investment properties. Whether it's a flip rehab or a rental rehab, we manage every aspect of a rehab from start to finish with a highly efficient, standardized process.
Over the last 6 years, Fast Track has completed over 700 projects, which has helped us to create our 3 keys to success. Use a detailed scope of work so that everything gets done. Train and maintain quality crews so it gets done right, and complete the work in a proper order so it gets done fast.
No more managing it yourself, no more doing the work yourself. Fast Track Remodeling really does manage it all.
So give us a call today at 832-742-9992. Again, that's 832-742-9992, or reach us on the web at fasttrackremodeling.com.
This is Business 1110.
Mic's on.
All right, well, welcome back.
Welcome back.
Right Path Real Estate Radio. Hey, during the break, we got a caller. Somebody put their fear of calling behind them. They called 713-785-1817. Jim, welcome to the phone. How are you?
Welcome to the show.
Yeah, sure.
Just fine.
Hey, Jim, how can we help you?
Fine. How y'all doing?
doing really well.
Well, I'm actually calling to see if you have a contact for doing. I've got a property that I bought, and I'd like to do an Airbnb. It's in an area close to the medical center, but I really don't want to do that Airbnb myself.
Yeah.
So I don't know if there's. I know you talk about property management and that quite a bit on your radio. Is there something equivalent in the Airbnb space?
So I know some people have talked about putting it together. You know, I don't know if you know my former business partner, Jason Bible. He and Robert Orfino are doing Airbnb stuff. We talk about it from time to time.
So there are companies that manage Airbnbs.
Right.
I've got a contact that has a contact for one. If you want to email me at support@Right Path Real Estate, I can connect you to him. I don't know the name of the company off the top of my head, but there are businesses that basically run Airbnbs. They take care of the stocking and the cleaning and the booking, and they handle all that stuff.
Okay. And what is your email?
Just shoot me an email at support@rightpathrealestate.com. Remind me why you're emailing me, and I will connect you to the guy I know.
And I know that Jason and Robert are figuring it out, and they're putting together their own management company. And I know that there was talk the other day about whether or not they were going to manage for other people or just keep it in house and things like that. And
so if they're going to manage for other people, I would definitely suggest looking those guys up.
Yeah, but I know that Airbnb is constantly changing. You probably know that, and I think the medical center. If I were going to do an Airbnb, I think that's a great area.
In the last couple of days, Harris County passed a tax now on Airbnb.
Oh,
so the county will now be taxing Airbnbs. I think it's a 2% tax.
Oh.
So I imagine all the small towns around us will start adopting that real soon too.
Yeah. All right, so there you go. Hope that helped you out.
Oh, that's interesting. Okay, I'll send it to you. Thank you very much.
All right, thanks, Jim.
Tom, talk to you later. Bye.
Okay, so back to the story. So I had this property. So just to recap, one of the largest rehabs that Fast Track had done at the time, and there's this showdown because the buyer really was close to backing out.
Yeah.
During the option period, and we're in the last day of the option period, of course. And they're like, "Hey, can you show up at this meeting?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'll show up." And of course, the inspector couldn't be there, so he was there on speakerphone. So we all met in the kitchen. It was a nice open kitchen and all that, so plenty of room for us.
Yeah.
And he, the inspector had tagged a lot of things that he said weren't up to code. And I said, well, so my response was, "Hey, do you have code enforcing authority, Mr. Inspector?" And he goes, "No, sir, I don't." I said, "Who does?" And he said, "Well, the city of Houston does." I said, "So does your opinion of the property change if you were to know that this entire project was a fully rehab job? That we pulled permits for foundation, we pulled permits for framing, we pulled permits for mechanical, we pulled permits for electrical, we pulled permits for plumbing. I mean, all the major trades,
yes,
we pulled permits for every single one. And we got green tags for every single inspection that we did. Would your opinion of the house change?" "Yes, sir, it would." And I said, "What's your opinion of the house now?" He goes, "It's a mighty fine house." and you could see the investor go, just that relaxation. You could see that the buyer just relaxed, both agents just relaxed, the moms relaxed. You're like, oh wow, they did do it right.
Yeah.
And then, it's not my opinion versus the inspector's opinion. Just, when opinions get involved.
Yeah, there's clear-cut guidelines.
Now you have a third-party independent source that their opinion is the only opinion that matters.
Yeah.
And it's once you have a green tag, you've satisfied. Now, here's the situation with flooded houses now. I just looked at a house, and it's listed on HCAT for about $200,000.
Okay.
110 of that is land value.
Oh, wow.
90 of that is structure value.
So that means you can't do more than 45 in repairs?
Correct. Now, it used to be, because this was an issue when I was first getting started, people were going into Bel Air, for example.
Yeah.
Or not the city, because the city of Bel Air had that same rule, 50% rule. And so what do you do when you have a house where you've got a piece of land that's worth $250,000? And you got a little old lady that's living in a house. She's been living there for 50 years.
So let's talk about that 50% rule, because I did the math in my head and said it real quick, but there's people on the radio that may be like, where did he get 45 from?
Yeah, right. So there is a rule that says if you take the structure value, then you can only do 50% of the value of the structure in repairs. Otherwise, they're not going to approve the permit because they're saying that you're overbuilding. What they really want it done is they want the whole house torn down and rebuilt brand spanking new. And they'll allow for new construction, but you typically have to build it up out of the floodplain. And in this particular neighborhood, like I said, it's a flooded house. And in driving the neighborhood, about maybe 10% of the houses were actually raised. So they're about 3 feet higher. Wow. And if you've seen what those houses look like, that you can see that they dig beams underneath and they support them, put them on piers, and that's not an inexpensive process to do. Yeah. And there's a lot of that going on, but I don't see that the numbers support that. Yeah. In terms of,
what do you think that runs on a 1,500 square foot house?
So before Harvey, but after the second flood in Meyerland, I did some research into it. I knew somebody that had a Meyerland house that was like a 4,000 square foot single story house. Another investor here in town that I'm real good friends with, the dad. And he said all the quotes they were getting was about $25 per foundation square foot. So you're talking about 1,000 now. So you could have a 2,000 square foot house if it's 2 stories. Yeah. Maybe it only has 1,000 square foot foundation. The problem is you couldn't do it if it had an attached garage, right? Because that would be an issue.
The garage would stay.
Although there's a house here over off of Kirkwood that is north of Briar Forest and south of Memorial.
They raised that thing up like
10 or 12 feet.
10 or 12 feet. Right. Yeah, I drove by that when they were first lifting, and I literally almost did I did do a double take. I'm surprised I didn't wreck anything. Yeah. Because you're driving, you look over, and there's a house up on like these 12-foot stilts, and you're like,
And I don't know if you've seen it recently, but it looks real. It's all finished out. It looks fantastic. Wow. Yeah. The air conditioning units are now they built like a patio deck around. Yeah. It looks like a beach house almost out except for in terms of how tall it is.
Beach house off Memorial.
Yeah, so one of the things that I've got to consider is, what can I do for that $45,000? Because, back about 5 years ago, maybe more than that, the permitting department would only consider the things that you were pulling permit on. So in that dollar amount, like if the number was $45,000, they weren't looking at things like paint or sheetrock or
new flooring.
Correct. Anything that you didn't have to pull permits on. So the only things that you pull permit on are the licensed trades like plumbing and electrical and foundation, things like that. Yeah. And so, you obviously don't on landscaping, you don't put a permit on that. Yeah. And or any kind of framing and that kind of stuff. And so and then you could also you could pull a permit just on those trades, do those things, and then go back and do the others later. But now, in fact, it even makes a difference whether you're in the 100-year. If you're in the 100-year floodplain, you actually have to get a notarized bid to submit to the city when you're pulling permits. If you're in the 500-year floodplain, then they're not requiring that. You just have to have a bid. So you could, do 2 separate bids and submit the one that you're pulling permits on and stay within that $45,000. However, you're running a risk. Yeah. So what I'd like to do this week is I want to go make a visit down to the permitting department and say, hey, what are y'all's rules now? Yeah. And then talk about that on the radio show next week so that we can keep everybody informed.
Maybe we can do that Friday.
Yeah, absolutely. So
I guess my question is, did this particular investor buy these houses not knowing those rules?
I think he owned them before the flood.
Oh, he did. Okay.
So this particular investor is not like some of the ones that we've, that I call the schizophrenic investor. Yeah. This particular investor is someone that really has, has stayed pretty disciplined. He's done some land deals, but he said, look, I won't do those anymore. And in talking to him, he's been quite successful. He's probably more conservative than most, but he had done a few partnerships. And what he said is, the problem with these two is he had a partner on them. And so he's got an LLC with a partner, and that partner didn't come through on some things so he's kind of stuck. He doesn't want to put his own money into it. He wants to sell them as is because of the partnership.
Yeah, because the partner's not putting anything else into it.
Correct.
He would be the only one floating the deal.
Correct.
Makes sense.
Yeah, and so what I want to do is, that makes me more conservative in terms of my numbers. Yeah. And I look at the ARV of the house, and and I pulled a pretty tight. One of my concerns is there's so many properties on the market in this little bitty, within a quarter of a mile of this particular house. There's like 10 or 12 houses on the market, and one of the things that we've been seeing in Houston house buyers is properties that were flooded, even if it's just one-time floods, they're just not moving very rapidly anymore. I mean, if it's even new builds, we're seeing some areas, like there's some areas over like between Kirkwood and Wilcrest, for example, really nice areas that are south of Memorial that back up to the bio, and there's some builders that have gone in there and built, scraped the house. And but in some of these houses, they were as you got closer to the bio, you could get 6-7 feet. Oops, party foul. So that's my AC guy not knowing that I'm on the radio right now. So anyhow.
So what do you think the PMV on those houses is?
I think it's.
Is it north of 300?
No.
Okay.
No, I think it's closer to 265.
Okay.
I see a lot of properties listed right now for over 300, but I see only one sale, and that's a little bit larger house. And when I see only one sale like that, I'm not going to take a very optimistic approach on that. So I'm going to take a less optimistic approach. So let me tell my AC guy.
2 minutes.
Yeah. That I do a radio show.
So our approach would be to be able to rehab it within the guidelines of the county and still be able to.
Not just the county, it's the city.
It's the city.
Yeah,
okay.
It's the city.
So within the guidelines of the city and still be able to come to market lower than all the other stuff that's listed.
Yep, that's correct.
So a lot of times people look at situations like that, and I've even seen people, run comps and they say, "Oh, look at all these houses are listed for $325. I'll be able to list mine for $325 too." Well, just because they're listed at $325, you want to be able to have a superior product at a lower price to make sure it goes quicker. Because when people come to that neighborhood, if you do have a buyer come to that neighborhood, you want to be the first house they pick.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, because we want to do it really, really nice.
Yeah.
But I'm looking at some really nice rehabs. I mean, when I look at them, I'm like, wow, that's really, and they're sitting on the market.
Yeah.
And and so it's not like you could go minimum, but I was checking with Jeff yesterday. I know when the flood first happened, we were plugging in a number just kind of as a placeholder at $45 a foot on flooded houses.
Yeah.
And to get them back, when the sheetrock was cut out 4 feet. And so I called Jeff and I said, is that still the number? And he goes, I think it's a little higher than that. And I said,
wow.
Well, what do you think? He said, probably like 50 to 65. And he goes, well, but check with Elijah. So I did. Elijah's more the numbers guy, right?
Yeah.
Jeff's more the project manager. And Elijah said it's still about 45 unless you're moving walls. And he said, and so we have done that in some flooded houses. We've opened it up some space. We've moved some walls.
Now's the time.
Yeah, and then you add roof and some other things.
Yeah.
And you can get up to that number. So we'll be right back. Music says we're out of time. See you in 3 minutes.
Hey, good morning, Chad. Good morning, Hatham. Good morning, Jose. How you been, brother? Good morning, Patrick. Good morning, Chris. Good morning, Andrew. Instagram, good morning, JCG. Good morning, Two Moms Buy Houses. Good morning, Paige. Good morning, Vicky. Good morning, Lovey Vibes. Good morning, Andrew. Good morning, Tay. Good morning, Lyrics. Good morning, Community Showcase. Lots of folks on Instagram this morning.
Jet Lending will help you evaluate your deals for free and give you
feedback
on value, cost of repairs, potential loan amount. Jet Lending is your fast and friendly hard money source for first-time investors and seasoned professionals. Call 281-872-7800 or email us at info@jetlending.com. Oh, and don't forget about our famous Third Wednesday Super Investor Networking Meeting. Lots of fun, lots of great real estate talk. We'll see you there.
Time is money in a real estate deal. If your insurance company is slow or non-responsive, you could lose a deal like that. You need a quick turnaround on quotes or binders? The agency for that is Benchmark Insurance Group of Texas. The team at Benchmark understands the investor mindset. They know what you need and when you need it. We're here for you. Are you a rehabber, wholesaler, buy and hold, or flipper? Bundling your properties on a single policy will help save time and money. Benchmark has been in business for over 10 years, and we insure over 30,000 properties. Contact Benchmark about our exclusive investor package. Call us and let us show you what we can do for you at 281-569-4353. That's 281-569-4353. Or online at benchmarkbroker.com. That's benchmarkbroker.com. That's 281-569-4353.
Hey, good morning, Ed.
Or online at benchmarkbroker.com.
Are you looking for an investor-friendly general contractor for your investment property? Then call Fast Track Remodeling at 832-742-9992 or reach us on the web at fasttrackremodeling.com.
Fast Track Remodeling specializes in turnkey remodeling of single-family investment properties. Whether it's a flip rehab or a rental rehab, we manage every aspect of a rehab from start to finish with a highly efficient, standardized process.
Over the last 6 years, Fast Track has completed over 700 projects, which has helped us to create our 3 keys to success. Use a detailed scope of work so that everything gets done, train and maintain quality crews so it gets done right, and complete the work in a proper order so it gets done fast.
No more managing it yourself, no more doing the work yourself. Fast Track Remodeling really does manage it all.
So give us a call today at 832-742-9992. Again, that's 832-742-9992, or reach us on the web at fasttrackremodeling.com.
This is Business 1110.
Mike's on.
Welcome back. Welcome back. Daniel Gollinger with Tom Perry, Right Path Real Estate Radio. Tom is currently handling a phone call dealing with an AC guy out on our fourplex that we just recently started a rehab on, getting some AC work done. We had our locksmith yesterday come by to get some lock boxes and whatnot, because we work with a certain locksmith. You know, we talk a lot about building relationships. Roy, give you a shout out if you're listening. We're a lot about building relationships, and a lot of people, you know, when they call a locksmith, they want to, hey, you know, I feel like you're $20 too high. The other guy was, this kind, and we know we're getting a good price. We know he's taking care of us because we give him a lot of business, for one, but it's really nice for me because I can send a text message and say, hey, I need this address rekeyed with a lockbox left on the property with this lockbox code and the keys left in the lockbox. And hey, we're keeping this one as a rental, so we need it rekeyed. We want, some brushed nickel handles. We want to leave a deadbolt, but then we need the hidden deadbolt as well, because as you know, the landlord code requires you to have a lock that can be locked from the inside and not accessed from the outside. So we keep him supplied with lock boxes, obviously, so he doesn't have to go buy a lock box every time we need one, but he knows that we're gonna use them on a regular enough basis that it makes sense for him to come pick up 10 or 20 of those things at a time. So he was in yesterday, sent him out to the fourplex to redo all those. The tenants may or may not be home right now, so hey, throw the lockbox on the door, leave him a note to call our transaction coordinator, Maribel. She'll have the code for you. You can get your key out of the lockbox, and there's your new key for your unit there. So it's really nice to have those kind of relationships to get those kind of things done. Tom's on the phone right now because we're getting the AC. I don't know if they're replacing the whole unit or just doing some work on it, but he's talking with our AC guy right now to get that taken care of. So we talk a lot about building relationships and things like that. And when you're doing this business at a high level, that's one of the most important things to help you function. Tom makes a joke a lot that, hey, this right here fixes, every single problem. For those of you on the radio, I'm holding up it's actually a marker, but I'm pretending like it's a pen. You can fix a fence with that. You can fix, and a lot of times for me, because we've got a person that handles the billing and things like that. So it's she's paying the invoices and that sort of stuff. So for me, it's this tool, the phone. I pick up the phone and send a text message or make a call or whatever. I can be in the middle of a meeting and through text message get things accomplished on a property without even having to step out of the meeting. And for me, those little type of relationship that you're able to build are wonderful. And we're even now, as we build out this ABC, the Asset Buyers Club, which is basically where we're working with wholesalers and real estate agents to bring deals to our clients. It's relationships based on that side as well, where we're building relationships with the wholesalers and things like that. So we've got 2 different showings, one today, one tomorrow, that we're working with a wholesaler for the first time, and had great conversations with those guys yesterday. Hey, we'd like to do this 2 or 3 times a week. We'd like first shot at your deals, save you a lot of time and energy and even money marketing the property. So,
yeah, right.
Welcome back. I was talking about Roy yesterday, our locksmith, and talking about the fourplex and how great it is to have those kind of relationships, and how very often I can be in the middle of a meeting, and somebody says, "Hey, we need to get this property rekeyed," and I can get that done without ever having to step out of the meeting or anything like that, because we've built that trust and that relationship. And I know you were dealing with the AC out on the fourplex, so was kind of talking about that a little bit. So back to the flood houses.
Yep.
We can talk a little bit more about that. Why do you think? I guess my question is, do the cities do they not? Isn't it harmful to the market to have these kind of restrictions on these houses that they know people can't afford to scrape and rebuild? That may not make it sense for an investor to scrape and rebuild.
Yeah.
But it can't be repaired.
Well, what their concern is because what happens if another disaster strikes, and ultimately it's FEMA dollars going in there to? Are you throwing good money after bad?
Okay.
Does that make sense?
That does.
And so if you go in there and spend, because ultimately, let's say I go in and put $100,000 worth of repairs.
Yeah.
And I sell that house to somebody that, maybe they're living check to check or whatever, that they have just enough to buy the house but no reserves left over. And they don't buy flood insurance, and the whole area is considered a disaster area.
Yeah.
And so FEMA steps in and says, "Oh man, you had ultimately the homeowners look into FEMA. It's the banks that are being bailed out, right?
Yeah.
Because
they get stuck with the asset, right?
Because the mortgages have to be made whole,
yeah.
And so now you've got a piece of property that's not worth what is owed on the piece of property, and so that's really what it all comes down to. Is the government going to have to write a big check to make everybody whole in order to do that? And so they said, hey, if we're going to be put in that position, we want to control the circumstances, right? So
does FEMA place those requirements on the city to
as I understand
enforce?
It, yes.
Okay,
yes.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Not too often you see the national and local levels working cohesively like that. That's pretty cool.
Right.
But that does make absolute sense.
Yeah, which is kind of the whole, for people that don't understand how TWIA works, the Texas Windstorm Association, which is where a lot of the insurance carriers decided that, hey, we want to pull out of the state of Texas.
Yeah.
And then the state board of insurance said, why? And they said, we don't like covering the wind. That's a huge major expense. The way a lot of these structures were built in the 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, the wind, 100 mile an hour wind comes through and stuff starts blowing off of it.
Yeah.
Siding blows off. Windows blow out. All this kind of stuff breaks, and then it's that flying debris that does damages to other pieces of property.
Yeah.
And so then there's been a lot of research done, mainly at the University of Miami, but other places as well. They simulate those high wind situations, and they've tested out different building criteria and that kind of stuff, and have figured out, hey, we can build a structure if we strap it right, if we nail it right, if we do all these things, according to the system and the process.
Yeah.
If we follow these requirements. If we follow these requirements, then stuff doesn't blow off.
Yeah.
The shingles don't blow off. The windows don't blow through. The siding doesn't blow off. The trim doesn't blow off.
Which makes it even more tricky when you get into doing, properties down in these coastal areas.
Yeah, right.
Galveston, Surfside, so on and so forth. What's the name of the caller?
Jim again.
Oh,
awesome.
Welcome back, Jim.
Yeah, I love the conversation y'all are having. It's just right up my alley what I'm looking at. But also, you're talking about it, and you said flooded houses. Is it really flooded houses or anything in the 100 and or the 500-year floodplain? Even if it's flooded or not flooded.
It's even if it's flooded or not flooded. That's correct. Yeah, in fact, because I know of a lady that bought a piece of property that's like west of 45 and it's north of 610, and it'd be a really, really wealthy. In fact, she didn't actually buy it. She lent on it, and ultimately, I guess and so it's behind in taxes right now, and it's in the 100-year floodway. and it's. I mean, if it was not if it were right across the street, not in the 100-year floodway, it'd probably be a $400,000 piece of property just for the land, just for the lot value alone. It's because it's east of the Heights, and it's in a really great area. And but she didn't understand floodway, because if it's in the 100-year floodway and there's not a structure there, for example, you can't put a shrub, you can't plant a tree, you can't put a swing set in. You cannot put anything that would impede the flow of water that is moving towards the waterway. And so if people don't realize that, and you go, oh man, this is a really great deal. It's $150,000, and it should be $400,000, and you go and you buy it.
Yeah.
And lo and behold, you go, and that's the situation. Apparently her brother-in-law, her ex-husband's brother, who she stayed friends with, said, oh man, I got a really great deal on this piece of property, can you lend on it?
Look how cheap we're getting it.
And she did, and not, know, expecting him to know, and he didn't. And now she owns this. I mean, that wouldn't even make a good bird park.
Not good.
Yeah. So,
I'm running, and I think that's great information to everyone. And I think, but I'm running across people telling me that, and I've heard you say this before, so I've repeated it, but homes that are in the 500-year floodplain, not the floodway, the 500-year floodplain, and they, want to sell their house, and they go, oh, it's never flooded. No, you don't have to worry about that 50% rule. But it's my understanding you do have to, and I think you're confirming that. Correct.
So here's all I would say is you can't quote me. All I would say is do your due diligence before you buy the property. Call down to the city and say, because literally it can change in a moment.
Yeah.
They can pass on that, and there's no way I can keep up with all the different cities around Houston, because what's going on in Texas City is different from what's Baytown, and what's different from LaPorte and League City. All of these are separate cities, right? Versus what's going on in the city of Houston.
Yeah.
Spring Valley is a separate city. Hunters Creek. I mean, each one of these are their own separate cities.
Yep.
Even Jersey Village is its own city.
Yes. Own mayor, everything.
Its own mayor, own city council, own permitting department, all of that kind of stuff. So where you are matters.
It doesn't apply all to Harris County.
It does not. No, absolutely not.
Doesn't apply.
In fact, I talk. There's
a city by city thing.
If you know Chris Johnson, I mean, if you get on Texas City's bad side, I mean, Chris Johnson made a decision to sue Texas City for like 2 weeks, and then withdrew the lawsuit, and because of that, he's on their dirt list, if you will. I can't say the actual word, I don't think, on the radio, but I probably could, but I don't want to test it. And I mean, they even said to him, hey, you better keep that property mowed, because we're going by every single week to inspect it, and if it's not mowed weekly, then we're going to fine you every time we catch it. So now, is that in the code? No. But that's unique to Texas City, right? And does the city of Houston? I mean, so that's what I'm saying. And so here's the way I describe it. Let's say that I come over from some foreign country and I've never seen the game of baseball before, and I want to learn how to play baseball. First thing you ought to do is learn the rules, right? And so for me, if you're an investor and you're going to play in that space, I would want to. I know some people say, "Oh, I'm going to fly underneath the radar." I was always, when I started Fast Track, I went down to the city of Houston and sat down in the permit department and said, and you'll find those people are so helpful. It's not, they're not like a lot of other city departments. They're very well run. You sit down and say, look, I'm a newbie. I want to do this right. I want to be on the right side of you guys. They love that, and they will pour their hearts out to help you. So they're good folks.
Hey, Jim, thanks for calling back. We're here anytime you need us, brother.
Okay, good job. Thank you.
All right, we'll be right back after this break.
Time is money in a real estate deal. If your insurance company is slow or non-responsive, you could lose a deal like that. You need a quick turnaround on quotes or binders? The agency for that is Benchmark Insurance Group of Texas. The team at Benchmark understands the investor mindset. They know what you need and when you need it. We're here for you. Are you a rehabber, wholesaler, buy and hold, or flipper? Bundling your properties on a single policy will help save time and money. Benchmark has been in business for over 10 years, and we insure over 30,000 properties. Contact Benchmark about our exclusive investor package. Call us and let us show you what we can do for you at 281-569-4353. That's 281-569-4353. Or online at benchmarkbroker.com. That's benchmarkbroker.com. That's 281-569-4353. Or online at benchmarkbroker.com.
Hello, real estate investors. Do you need a lender that moves fast at the speed of a jet to fund your investment properties? Jet Lending will help you purchase properties quickly with as little cash out of pocket as possible. Jet Lending also sets up a repair escrow fund to help you with repair costs. Jet Lending has originated over 2,000 loans in Texas, valued at over $250 million. Jet Lending will help you evaluate your deals for free and give you feedback on value, cost of repairs, and potential loan amount. Jet Lending is a fast and friendly hard money source for first-time investors and seasoned professionals. Call 281-872-7800 or email us at
forward to seeing you on the 24th.
Oh, and don't forget about our famous Third Wednesday Super Investor Networking Meeting. Lots of fun, lots of great real estate talk. We'll see you there.
Well, you're speaking that night.
Oh, good.
Hey, Jeff, good morning.
Are you looking for an investment-friendly general contractor for your investment property? Then call Fast Track Remodeling at 832-742-9992 or reach us on the web at fasttrackremodeling.com.
Men's group out in the Woodlands.
Fast Track Remodeling specializes in turnkey remodeling of single-family investment properties. Whether it's a flip rehab or a rental rehab, we manage every aspect of a rehab from start to finish with a highly efficient, standardized process.
How you like to
over the last 6 years, Fast Track has completed over 700 projects, which has helped us to create our 3 keys to success. Use a detailed scope of work so that everything gets done, train and maintain quality crews so it gets done right, and complete the work in a proper order.
Hey, Thomas,
so it gets done fast.
Topic
no
you want Tom covering that night? Or?
No more doing the work yourself.
Hopefully it's something real estate related.
Really
it's definitely real estate related.
So give us
or
a
does
call
he get to bring his own
832-742-9992. Again, that's 832-742-9992, or reach us on the web at fasttrackremodeling.com.
Although there are a lot of topics I could talk about.
This is Business 1110.
Yeah, I mean, I feel pretty comfortable you covering anything.
Mic's on.
But we gotta wait for more cowbell. Hey, welcome back. Welcome back. Right Path Real Estate Radio. So we've been talking about construction and flooded houses.
Yeah.
And the 50% rule. And
how many do you think are still out there?
Oh my gosh, there's a bunch.
You think it's more than 10,000? There was about 250.
Yeah.
We're talking Greater Houston, not necessarily Houston city limits.
Yeah, right.
There was about 250,000 to begin with. Do you think there's 10% left? Maybe 25,000?
I don't think there's probably 25,000 left, but I think there's. I mean, I think there's probably there could be 10,000 left.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. 2 years later,
could be 15,000.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because look at the one that we have over, just west of here. That's the house right across the street. It hadn't even started.
Yeah.
And the guy's got it listed. I mean, you could look on MLS and see that there's a lot of people that have the houses listed that are in that, in that condition that are not, I think the guy across the street from ours on that street is way overpriced for the numbers. I mean, for how much work it needs to be done. And I think people are really underestimating how much money it takes. Because, when you're talking about, you got to do, baseboards around the entire house. You got to do flooring around the entire house. You got to do all the door trim around the entire house. I mean, which means if you're going to do door trim, might as well do doors, right?
Yeah.
In fact, you probably have to do all the doors. You got to do all the doors, all the door trim, all the baseboards, all the sheetrock. I mean, it's a lot. It's a whole lot.
Yeah.
And then on exterior walls, you've got to do the vapor barrier, and then what about brick ties? And there's workarounds for that. Fast Track has figured out a workaround. They're one of the few, but there's some of the stuff they don't have codes for, but you want to have it done right. I mean, I always want to sell a good house,
of course,
and so I always want to do it. How would I want it done? I'm not saying like over the top. I'm not going to overbuild. I mean, I went and looked at a house one time recently, and this guy said that he probably lives in a $125,000 house, but he did $200,000 worth of remodeling because it's his. He built his own man cave. He did all.
Of course,
he's a retired police officer, and I'm like, hey, you can build $1 million home in a mobile home park if you want to. I don't recommend it because it'll never be worth $1 million to anybody else. So flipping, the importance of maintaining relationships. Yeah, absolutely. What happened? What's
happening this week, man? Lots of stuff. We've got 4 closings on the sales side, 1 closing on the.
We don't really have anything much on the education side because we had a webinar last night, and so our next webinar is going to be on, and we don't really have anything this weekend.
Yeah, we've got our base camp meeting tomorrow night.
Correct, we do.
We've got a lender coming out to speak to the group.
People that are in base camp, they know about that.
Know about
so
that.
Radio show folks do. That's our higher end mastermind group for people that are wanting to do this at a high level. And then really we've been working a lot on systems and processes within RightPath for building out ABC and the Asset Buyers Club, and we recognize that we want to add a real value. Finding buy and hold properties. When you look at the kind of wealth that you can build through buy and hold, way more than you can flipping houses, way more than you can wholesaling. It's the fastest wealth building out there. And if you want to learn how to flip, I can teach you that. If you want to learn how to wholesale, I can teach you that. But what I'll strongly encourage you, I won't go to the extreme like somebody else that says, "Oh, you're stupid if you do those things." What I'll say is, you're smarter if you do buy and hold.
Yeah, absolutely.
And not that you're stupid if you do the others, but most of the time, the reason why people want to wholesale to flip to then do buy and hold is
they think they're stepping stones.
Correct.
Absolutely.
But they think it's the way to build capital, and that you have to have the capital in order to do the buy and hold. But when most people are looking at, these are the resources I have, and I'm going to take my resources and leverage them.
Yeah.
Then there's another level of resourcefulness that you can learn.
1 minute.
I think that's a mental block that people get into, that when you learn another level of resourcefulness. And I've never been a fan of partnering in flipping businesses unless you're going to do that. I mean, obviously I did partner in starting Houston House Buyers, but it was, in fact, somebody asked me just recently on a phone call, why would you ever partner with somebody? And I said, well, if the only reason to do it is for synergy.
Yes, absolutely.
If 1 + 1 = 3, then I would do it. So, but and all that means is just if you can do more together than either one of you would do individually, then I would do that. So I have a friend that's waiting for a FEMA buyout from Harvey, wants a $350,000 8 feet of water.
Hey, Thomas, just real quick, you can reach out to Fast Track and find out their minimum jobs, just so you know they don't do occupied houses.
Right.
So they would have to be empty houses, but they will do a retail job for an empty house.
Yes.
I'm not sure what the floor on the price is.
Yeah.
We'll be back tomorrow with Build Your Team Thursday. Look forward to seeing you guys in. Thanks so much.
You've been listening to Right Path Real Estate Radio. Find Tom at rightpathrealestate.com. You can put the fear behind you and listen every day from 9 to 10 a.m. on Business 1110 KTEK.
Your mom's freaking out right now.
Hey,